Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bravo Docket. So this is going to be one of our first shorter episodes that we are now going to be calling our legal briefs. And it's a short form episode just to provide all of you with more content. Do you want to mention what this one is about, Angela?
Yeah, this one we're going to talk about some additional questions that y'all had about the restraining order that Raquel obtained against Scheana Shay.
Yeah, so we mentioned it in our Vanderpump Rules episode that came out 2 weeks ago. But like Angela said, we've received a lot of questions and there seems to be a lot of action that's happened on the restraining order since then. So this past week, from the date that we're recording, was the Vanderpump Rules reunion. And it was rumored that Raquel was seeking to withdraw her temporary restraining order. And Bravo released 2 different seating charts. I don't know if you saw that. I posted it on our Instagram. One with Raquel and then another with Scheana, where Raquel wasn't there and then Scheana wasn't there. You know, vice versa. One of them was like not there.
Yeah.
So
I saw Andy respond to a question about where everybody would be sitting and kind of worried about it. And it might have been to Danny Pellegrino when he was on Watch What Happens Live. Andy was like, we'll figure it out. We've got it handled. So I think he was like, y'all make a seating chart or something so people stop asking about this.
You know, like I didn't think that they would just do 2 seating charts. I don't know why that didn't cross my mind. I was like, oh man, they're going to have to be in the same room or not. Like it did not cross my mind. But of course, there's always moving parts and people coming in and out during a reunion. I don't know why it didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
But presumably then, because there is a temporary restraining order in place, Scheana was probably 100 yards away while Raquel was filming her portion of the reunion. And then when they swapped, same thing. Raquel had to be 100 yards away from Scheana.
Yeah. How can someone end a restraining order?
Well, I was going to say that what Raquel has is a temporary restraining order. And like we explained in the last episode on Vanderpump, to get a temporary restraining order, it's just based on one side of the evidence. So it's the person who's seeking the temporary restraining order. It's just based on their side of the evidence. And it stays into effect until the hearing for the actual restraining order. And here, the hearing for the restraining order was scheduled for March 29, 2023. So it was the week after the reunion was filmed. To your question, how can you end a restraining order? You technically cannot withdraw a temporary restraining order. Once it is in place, you can only end it at the hearing to get the actual restraining order. So there's nothing that you can file in the interim. And usually the interim is pretty short. Like here she filed, I believe, do you remember like March 6th?
Yeah, something like that. It was maybe 3 days after the incident when she was back in LA. So I think it was maybe 48 hours or 3 days after the incident. She filed it, and they usually only last for, 30 to 45 days?
Well, no, they only last until the date of the hearing.
Right, but you have to have a hearing within 30 to 45 days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think she filed it March 6th or 7th, and then the hearing was the 29th, so that's not even 30 days. It's like 2.5 weeks of her protection against Scheana. So really not in place for that long, but then, yeah, her opportunity to end or get out of the restraining order would have been at the hearing. And the way you do that is you let it end, or you tell the judge, I'm no longer seeking this. And then they don't take it a step further and put in place an actual restraining order. Another thing I wanted to talk about is people were kind of like, when everyone was trying to figure out the reunion seating, everyone was like, how are they going to do it? They can only do it if Raquel withdraws it, which she can't. They can only do it if she withdraws it. Like, what are they going to do? And I kept trying to tell people a restraining order, a temporary restraining order, any restraining order is not like an automatic shield. It's not like it insta-repels the person that you're seeking protection from or insta-puts them in jail. That just isn't how it works. And I meant that to say it is up to Raquel. If she wants to be in the same room as Scheana and they come to an agreement, all she has to do is not call the cops.
Yeah.
And they can both film. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when I was working in the prosecutor's office like a decade and a half ago, it was the same as it was here. It was a civil order. But most of the time when you'd see somebody actually get in trouble or, end up going to jail for violating one, they would be out on probation for something else. And that would be part of their orders for probation, is not to violate any restraining orders, not to violate any court orders. And then if they show up at their girlfriend's house when they're not supposed to, get in another argument, then not only have they committed another, unfortunately, domestic battery, but they've also violated the restraining order. And so that's another charge for revoking their probation. Here, no one's on probation as far as we know. And, it's a civil issue. So, but I do agree, and especially with as heated as this situation is, keeping everybody separated, I mean, it's still a court order. Obeying the civil order is the thing to do.
Right. And there was a document that we were sent, or that was posted on social media, of what supposedly Raquel tried to hand to Scheana, or Sheena's attorney, saying that she wanted to withdraw the restraining order. And I don't know if this is verified, but it appears to be, I'm reading it, a request for dismissal of a complaint without prejudice. But like I said, that's not how you go about withdrawing the temporary restraining order. It's once it's set, it's set. It's set for a short period of time. You don't proceed and go and get the actual restraining order. That's how you just end it all. I think maybe Raquel was like, oh, shoot, I still want to film and have a lot of drama out of this. But
yeah.
And I feel like it was in Sheena's best interest to not take this document and be like, okay, it's all done. Let's film together. Let's have a session together.
Right.
Because, Raquel could go and call the cops and have the restraining order enforced, or the temporary restraining order enforced.
Right.
And I think her attorney also released a statement to that effect. This document that we received isn't how you end a TRO. It's still in effect. Her counsel, they're not going about this the right way. We can't wait to go to the hearing. That's, I think, the high-level summary of what Scheana's attorney said in response to this document. Anything else to talk about on the restraining order or this whole situation in general? What are your thoughts about it? Again, we're not sitting at the reunion. We don't have any insider information, but just as a fan, what are your thoughts?
I hope that people listening to this have looked at the very helpful post that Ceci did on our Instagram. Domestic violence is a huge issue, and that's typically what these type of restraining orders are used for. And whatever state you live in, wherever you are, there are legal aid services and also domestic violence services that can help you if you are in a situation and you need one of these. And so I hope it brings awareness to what these can and can't do and how to get them, and something good comes out of it. Physical violence is never the answer. It's never okay. Whether Scheana did something or not, it's not okay on either side. I hope that no hands get thrown at the reunion, which I think has already been filmed, and that people can use their words, as Candace would say.
That was a very diplomatic response. I meant just the situation in general. But I totally agree with you. There are so many great resources out there for supporting you if you are stuck and need to get a restraining order. I guess the whole situation on that note, people also asked us if there's any recourse if someone lies on a restraining order. And there is. You have to go through some avenues and prove that the person was lying. But I think the law here favors the person seeking a temporary restraining order, because usually that person is the victim of something and needs immediate protection.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it needs to be immediate. You have to believe the person who is seeking it. Otherwise, the tool fails.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. You asked for my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like commenting on stuff until we've seen some actual evidence, and all we have is the restraining order that Raquel filed and the pictures she filed along with it. And then we have Sheena's statement saying, I never punched her. I don't know. What do you think?
I try to believe when someone says that there was an altercation. It's odd to me that Raquel would seek an order of protection to stay away from Scheana and then try to reverse that for the reunion. I don't know, maybe there was a contract issue there with Bravo and they both had to be within the vicinity, but Bravo worked it out. So I just don't see the benefit of trying to withdraw the restraining order if they weren't going to film together at all.
Yeah, and I don't know. She could have been very afraid if what Raquel said was true and she told Scheana what happened and then there was a physical altercation, then I can understand maybe being really scared at first and thinking the whole world hates me. If I see she's already hit me once, if she sees me again, she might do it again. But then maybe calming down about it. I'm trying to be very diplomatic here and give
of course,
the benefit of the doubt.
Yes. And I do believe that there was an altercation. I think I'm on that side where my brain is. I think there might have been an altercation. And I will say that even if someone, it does happen a lot where someone is granted a restraining order and then they withdraw it, but they have been in harm's way and are at risk of being harmed again. It happens often.
Oh.
So that's all to say if someone...
It happens all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
When I prosecuted domestic violence, that was so difficult. Right. Those are some of the most difficult cases to prosecute, even just the basic misdemeanor ones, because it's a cycle of abuse and that people get back together or, they both got mad and were throwing hands at each other. And then they're just mad that the state and the government is intervening. And in the county that I worked in, it had a policy of prosecuting for very small, maybe minuscule infractions in order to get people in counseling before it got to a big infraction. People would be very mad and not want their significant other to be prosecuted even for a small misdemeanor and would try to lie on the stand or deny what they said. And what was supposed to be your own witness would sometimes be against you.
Yeah. So I was just to finish what I was going to say is that even if someone withdraws it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they fabricated or that there wasn't something that legitimately led to them seeking a restraining order. It happens often that people withdraw it. And just to clarify, this wasn't a domestic violence restraining order that Raquel sought, but the thought remains the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's it on the restraining order. I wanted to keep it sweet and simple on what was going on there because there was a lot of chatter about it and people were wondering the mechanics of how someone could withdraw it or end it. That's it. Anything else to add?
No, I cannot wait for this reunion to come out.
Seriously, this whole thing got me watching Vanderpump Rules again. So
yeah,
I am hooked. Anyway, thank you all for listening to our first legal brief. And until next time.
Bye, legal team.